Hello, YouTube. You're probably saying, wow, she hasn't made a video in a while. And that's because I haven't really been inspired to make a video in a while. Like, I just haven't seen anything, read anything, heard anything. I mean, there have been a lot of things that have been interesting, but I don't want to just talk for the sake of talking. If I'm going to say something, I want to say something of importance to me, of relevance to my life, my point of view. Like, I don't want to just waste my time on something that's not at all amusing to me. So, this video, I'll give you all the basics. I'll just put them on the sideline. Like the song, the video, what have you. But as for my topic, what I'm about to say, a lot of people probably will not like it. A lot of people will probably think that I'm completely off my rocker. A lot of people will probably be completely confused. Why in the world is she making this video? What is wrong with her? Is she like joined some weird cult or something? And you can make all those assumptions if you would like to, but I haven't. It's just that I've come to a realization about something. And it's not something that's a very popular thought per se. I'm sure there are other people who feel the same way, but they're probably the silenced few in the population of the world because actually I read something this morning, and you're probably like, why are you quoting this person? But I read something this morning, and it actually coincides a lot with what I'm about to say. So I'll read it to you. Once again, I repeat, I've not gone crazy. In fact, I feel more, clear than I've ever felt before. Or at least I've ever felt like in a long time, I'll say. So let me find the quotes and I shall read it to you. Okay. Here we go. It says, there's no such thing as fact anymore, only opinion. The closest thing we have to fact is common opinion. Everything is an opinion. So, what I'm about to say, you can call this my opinion, if you will. But here it goes. You're probably like, what is she about to talk about? She's probably about to say something crazy. Well, okay. I was reading Genesis last night. Just because I don't know what led me to read Genesis, but I just really wanted to read Genesis. I guess because unless you have a foundation of like what happened in the beginning, it's hard to understand what happened after that. Like everything happens in order, and if you have an important missing piece, then everything else is just like folly and doesn't really come together the correct way. So I was reading Genesis, and particularly Genesis 2 and 3, because I really wanted to understand the fall of man. I really wanted to understand what God told Adam and Eve, commanded them, and what they did, and why what they did, led to everything that, then happened after the fact, and then led to, Jesus coming down, dying on the cross, and salvation. So basically, I wanted to understand why I'm at this point now. And I was reading and thinking, and I actually didn't realize how confusing Genesis is. Like, it's like you would think it's so simple, because it just like tells you what happens and blah blah blah. And like I always thought it was like so simple, but actually now, like trying to understand it and what it means in terms of salvation and where I am now, it's actually one of the hardest books in the Bible to interpret. And perhaps because it's the most critical, and so you, like, every detail is, like, significant and matters to what you're trying to understand. Which is this huge, it's a huge idea. And so I was trying to understand, the part, like, chapter 3, when serpent comes and tempts Eve or what have you, and about the tree of knowledge of good and evil versus the tree of life, because they were both in the center of the garden, which is interesting, because, like, it was basically like they're both in the center, so they're both in a focal point in the garden. One you're not supposed to eat, one you can eat of, but it's just that one that you cannot touch, but they're both in the focal point, so they're both, like, in a position where you would see them all the time, where they would have significance, and clearly that was done for a reason, like the fact that they were both put in the middle, like, next to each other. And at first I didn't realize that, but there are two that they were both next to each other. And so it's basically like that was the choice that was presented, God gave us a choice, and it was apparent that you couldn't have both. It was either you chose the tree of life or you chose the tree of knowledge. And so as I was reading, it just, like, hit me. This is probably going to end up having a second part because I'm not going to be able to say everything I want to say. But it hit me that my whole philosophy on life, my whole reason for living, my whole reason, like, for basically being a Christian, if you will, the whole way in which I, seek to become a better Christian or better person, is pretty much backwards. And yeah, it's pretty much backwards. And it's because of Genesis. That's why it's backwards. And I think it's, like, a dangerous thing. Like, it's almost like a sneaky way that it's been implanted into us. And the devil is very strategic and bitter because he knows the final outcome of things. And so anything that he can do to confuse people, to trip them up, to lead them astray, he's going to try to do. And so if you think about it, Christianity, this is why I know I serve, and I know for a fact that I serve the true and living God. Because if you think about all the other religions, they, like, lay it out to you. It's not, like, mysterious. Like, their leader was, like, some person who just wrote down their thoughts or whatever they went through, and they handed them the book basically as is, and, like, everything was just given to them on a plate, basically, like a silver platter, presented before them, like, this is how you live, this is what you do, and that's it, blank, bing, bang, boom. And it's just so simple. And they're the most, like, well-read in their religion. They're the most, well-versed in other religions. And they seem to be the most dedicated to their religion. And that's strategic. Because why would the thing that's easily presented before you be the correct thing? Okay. Because, okay, I know this sounds like, where is she going with this? But our religion is the only religion that's been complicated. Like, so many hands have been put in it. so many things have been thrown in, and we all know that God is not the author of confusion. And the fact is that, so Satan, in his twisted way, because we know God is not the author of confusion, he convinces us that Christianity is this big, complex thing. And so, and in essence, you're never, like, this isn't true because it's confusion. And so that's why people can never grasp Christianity, because he's made it this big, confusing thing when it's not. It was never meant to be confusing, and the only reason why it's confusing is because of our illusion. So I'm going to make a part 2 of this, and I'll be back shortly.